The observation deck of the Galactic Conservation Station orbited the forest moon of Verdania 7, where Dr. Sarah Chen had been stationed for the past 6 months. Her mission was simple: study the endangered Krell cubs, document their behavioral patterns, and ensure their survival before the species vanished entirely from the galaxy. Commander Thexval, a towering Xanthari with crystalline skin that refracted the station's lights into rainbow patterns, watched the human through the monitoring screens with growing confusion. For weeks now, the xenobiologist had been doing something that violated every protocol in the Conservation Corps manual. She was sharing her meals with the subjects. "This is most irregular," Thexval rumbled, his vocal cords producing sounds like grinding glaciers. "The human contaminates the study with emotional attachment." His second-in-command, a serpentine Srathi named Vess, flickered her tongue in agreement. "Indeed, Commander. The cubs now exhibit dependency behaviors. They wait at the feeding zone's edge each morning, refusing to eat until the human arrives." On the screen, Sarah stepped out of the airlock, her insulated suit protecting her from Verdania 7's bitter cold. In her gloved hands, she carried her standard-issue breakfast ration and a portable heater. The 3 Krell cubs, each the size of a large dog, covered in iridescent fur that shifted from blue to purple, immediately perked up at her arrival. But they didn't rush to their food dispensers. They sat. They waited. Sarah settled onto a frost-covered rock, activated her heater, and began eating her protein bar. Only then did the cubs approach their own feeding stations and begin their meal. Throughout breakfast, they kept glancing toward her, as if checking that she was still there. "Fascinating," muttered Dr. Quilks, the station's Valorian behavioral specialist. His 4 eyes blinked independently as he analyzed the data streams. "The cubs have synchronized their feeding schedule to hers. In the 14 years I've studied cross-species interaction, I've never seen voluntary behavioral modification this profound." "It's a contamination of the study," Thexval insisted. "I'm ordering her to cease this practice immediately." "With respect, Commander," Quilk said carefully, "I recommend against that. Watch what happens next." On screen, the smallest cub, designated Krell 07 but whom Sarah had privately named Patches due to the distinctive marking on his side, finished eating first. Instead of wandering off as juvenile Krells typically did, he approached Sarah. The human remained still, letting the cub make the choice. Patches settled beside her, close enough that his fur touched her suit. Within moments, his siblings joined him. The 3 cubs huddled against the human, sharing the warmth of her portable heater. "They're cold-climate creatures," Vess observed. "They shouldn't require additional heating." "They don't," Quilk said softly. "Watch their bio-readings. Their core temperatures are optimal. This isn't about thermoregulation. The readings confirmed it. The cubs' stress hormones had dropped to nearly 0. Their heart rates had steadied into peaceful rhythms. Neural scans showed patterns consistent with contentment and security. She's taught them pack bonding, Quilks continued. Krell cubs in the wild die because they lack family structures. Their parents were hunted to extinction 30 years ago. The species has been raised in isolation facilities since then, and the cubs never learned social cohesion. They compete, they fight, they fracture. That's why every reintroduction program has failed. Thexval's crystalline features somehow managed to convey skepticism. And sitting with them during meals changes this? It's not just sitting, Commander. She's teaching them something humans excel at, the ritual of shared meals. On Earth, humans gather to eat not merely for nutrition, but for social bonding. They've built entire civilizations around the concept of breaking bread together. On the screen, Sarah pulled out a datapad and began making notes, speaking softly to the cubs in that peculiar way humans addressed animals. The cubs didn't understand her language, but they responded to her tone, to her presence, to the simple fact that she was there. Over the following weeks, Thexval watched the transformation with growing amazement. The cubs began waiting for each other before eating, even when Sarah couldn't visit. They groomed one another, played together, and slept in a pile, rather than in separate corners of the habitat. When Sarah introduced a 4th cub, a recent rescue, the original 3 immediately included her in their breakfast circle. The new cub, starving and aggressive, tried to attack the food dispensers immediately. The other 3 blocked her path. They sat, they waited, and eventually the new cub understood. She sat too. When Sarah arrived that morning, she found all 4 cubs waiting patiently, though their food had been available for an hour. She smiled that peculiar human expression and sat on her rock. Only then did the cubs eat, with the newcomer watching carefully, learning the ritual. "I believe I understand now," Thexval admitted during the command review meeting. "The human hasn't contaminated the study. She's shown us what we missed for 3 decades. Krell cubs don't need better nutrition or larger habitats. They need family. They need ritual. They need someone to teach them how to be together." Quilks nodded, his research notes spreading across multiple screens. Humans are pack bonding specialists. They form attachments with virtually any species. They anthropomorphize, they nurture. They create social structures even where none existed. We saw this as a weakness, a lack of scientific objectivity, but perhaps it's their greatest strength. 3 months later, the Krell cubs were successfully reintroduced to a protected zone of Verdania 7. They stayed together, formed a cohesive pack, and for the first time in 30 years, young Krells had a chance at survival in the wild. Sarah remained on the station, already working with a new group of cubs. Each morning she sat on her frost-covered rock, ate her breakfast, and waited. And each morning the cubs waited with her, learning the simple truth that had nearly been forgotten in a galaxy of efficient, logical, protocol-driven conservation. Sometimes, salvation doesn't come from advanced technology or superior intellect. Sometimes it comes from someone willing to share their breakfast and show you that you're not alone. The ritual continued, one morning at a time, building families from orphans and hope from patients. And throughout the station, other researchers began to wonder what other problems might be solved by simply sitting together and sharing a meal.